welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we're coming back with part 2 of our Neon Genesis Evangelion. We already went through episode 1 through 13, so we decided to finish it off with 14 through 26, and then that kind of final movie, which is kind of an interesting way, because it's a final movie, but then it's like 2 big fatty episodes that are like alternative episodes. I don't know how the best way to say it, because they literally call it like 25, 26, and then it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's an alternative ending, you know?
Well, I guess, you know what, I'm going to be 100% honest. I think End of Evangelion is probably going to be most of the conversation and most of the podcast, because that's the thing that has more theories as of hows and whys, but leading up to that, it's pretty straightforward until you get to like the last couple 20 something, like 20 aughts, like 21, 22. That's where like, okay, like they'll do this thing where they answer something, but then they give you a bunch of other shit. Like, wait, what's that one over there? So yeah, the last one I noticed we were more of just kind of like talking about history, like more of like, you know, coming across Evangelion, and then like, you know, different thing as a whole, and then near the end kind of breaking down where it went through. So since we covered all that, maybe just moving forward from 14 to the movie and chronological, I guess is best. Not totally to the level of like, okay, let's talk about 14. Now let's talk about 15, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, because I definitely don't remember like exact numbers. There's too many episodes by this point, so that now it's all kind of melded together. But it's kind of interesting because like right after I feel about like that 13, you know, that era, it kind of shifts gears twice, but this first time it shifts gears, because last time, like, the way we're kind of talking about, because I've never seen Evangelion before, so this is my first time going into it, other than seeing those, like, secondary movies that came out way later, is that, when it kind of starts off, it gave me that, like, Tenchi Muyo kind of vibe, beats Gundam Wing. It's almost like how I kind of went with it. But all of a sudden, like, once you get to about, like, 13 to maybe about, like, 17, 18, 19, it totally shifts, like, away from almost being like a teenager show to being like a pure adult show. And then every once in a while it's like, oh yeah, there's Shinji, there's Asuka, but that's not even our focus for like a handful of episodes there. And it's kind of like becomes this very serious sort of like drama where it's like there's not even like the Evangelions aren't even like punching stuff for a while. It's just like, oh okay, we got adult problems now, not children who are 12 years old that probably shouldn't be piloting these like ginormous mechs. You know,
it's one of those things. Well, they're 14, but yeah, it's one of those things.
Are they 14?
Like,
I thought they were 12 in that show this whole time.
No, they're 14.
Well, it's still fucking weird when you say, I don't know,
still, yeah,
because it is, because there is a lot of let's say this 14-year-old nudity in that show.
That's the thing about the show that makes it's awkward about it. Like that's the thing that I have that like I don't think I can, because it's not one of those things like. It's up because when you're 14 and you're watching this show, you're like, cool, whatever.
Dude,
and then one day
it makes it 10 times better.
And then one day you turn like 20 and you're like, oh, let's watch this show where it shows a bunch of fucking 14-year-olds like fucking grabbing each other's tits or like or like jerking off over a comatose body. What? Yeah, that happens. We'll get to it.
Yeah, that's there. I feel like Jared from Subway now. It's like, what's going on? But still,
they did have that tie-in. They did have that tie-in for like Evangelion at some point. It's like, oh yeah, this you can get the Unit 1 purple sub. What? Yeah, we just dyed the bread purple. It's healthy. Don't worry.
It's safe. Don't question it.
It's like when they had the Darth Vader like some chain. I don't think it was in America, but some chain had like get the Darth Vader burger. It's like pitch black. The bun is like no.
Yeah, it's pitch black. We just keep roasting the burger until it's charred. Charred to the max. It'll clean out your colon. It's good. It's like eating charcoal.
It wasn't even that. It was literally like they just had like a black colored bun. Like, oh, okay, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, and it was the burger like rare as can be, so like it's got like that contrast.
So it has the red lately, yeah.
Like the lightsaber.
Careful, it's still mood. It's bantha meat.
But I mean, the thing is though, is I guess at the same time, like. Though there is like those like awkward moments like that, they never feel like they almost still feel like they're done. I mean, I guess that's the one. It's like you couldn't like sell this to like, you know, your parents as like a kid because they'd be like, "What the fuck are you watching, Billy? Like, why is those 14-year-olds naked running around all over the place?" Well, it's actually like a really dramatic scene about like, you know, Shinji. I don't give a fuck what it is. That kid better like shut the fuck up. You know, I mean, if you're going to be in the military, well, he's not really in the military. The fuck he is. Why is he piloting that thing? He's not in the military. He's got no fucking discipline. Well, his dad runs the company. Well, that's fucking.
Oh, guys.
Well, those fuckers. I know those guys.
Oh, all right. Yeah, probably not Gilbert, who's been working there for 15 years doing his times, and oh no, his son gets a driver's license. Here's a fucking robot. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, shit, he doesn't even have a driver's license yet either. What the hell? Come on, I've been
working
at NERV my whole fucking life. I expected to be flying one of these Evangelions once I got to this point, but no, I'm stuck behind a fucking PC. That's it. That's all I'm gonna be. Where do I go in life here? When just like 12-year-old kids off the street can fucking jump in these things.
Well, actually, they're 14. Beside the point.
Fuck up. Nobody cares what their fucking age is.
Why they make those cockpits so small? They say that it's this prophecy thing. I'm pretty sure someone fucked up in manufacturing and, made the cockpit too small. That's why they gotta get kids to pilot this thing. It's too much money to send it back.
Shit, I saw it one time 2 of those kids were in there. I know I can fit. If 2 of those fucking kids can fit in there, I can fit in 1.
Fucking bullshit.
But
no, so it is
so it goes through like I guess I was gonna say is it skips kind of like being like kind of like the teen, like almost like, whoa, I'm going to high school and there's these girls that surround me, but I don't like any of them. And there's a pet penguin over here, but that's okay, because you know what? I gotta fly a giant mech on the weekends and everything is awesome, except for Shinji. He's like the exact opposite character. He's like person who's like, fucking sucks. My dad runs the company. It's like, I don't want to be here. My mom died and life just was terrible after that. And it's kind of weird because I came to the conclusion, too, that this show almost is like, it almost maybe had created the emo kid. Because think about it, it comes out in the 90s. And these characters in here, especially the farther it gets into it, become like emo as fuck. You know what I mean? And all you gotta do to create the emo like recipe is take this, mix in some Disney, Tim Burton, and throw some pop punk Blink-182 stuff on top of it, and you've created the emo child.
Oh, I guarantee you the emo kids loved Evangelion, especially the later half of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not like a negative thing against it. I'm just saying that, like, I feel like that's like finding like an archaeology like dig. You're like, oh shit, wait, we could have known how this came. I just didn't see it in time.
I bet if you went on, because, there's those days where, early days of YouTube, I mean, they're still pop up, but in the early days of YouTube, there'll be a bunch of AMVs, like anime music videos, where people just do their own little fan video with licensed music featuring, whatever anime over it. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you could find some probably, like, type in Evangelion AMV, most of it's going to be probably, like, Breaking Benjamin, Atreyu, The Used. It's going to be a lot of shit, and it's going to be really compressed files, too. So it's going to be very pixely as it goes on.
Yeah, I bet you there was tons of that kind of stuff. Because that was funny how that was. There was a time period where that was so common. Like, every anime. A little bit of
Linkin Park.
Yeah.
A very common one was Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Well, that's just an amazing song. That makes any movie better.
It doesn't really.
It does. It so does. It brings it to like the 1, or it could be like in what's the Vin Diesel?
I'm assuming Triple X.
Yeah, Triple X has it in there.
I never even seen it. I'm just assuming.
Dude, you gotta see Triple X. Dude, Triple X is so.
No,
good.
I don't.
It's so good. All 3
I'll
of them.
I'll take your word for it.
But so good. Dude, it starts off with Rammstein, dude. He flies it. He jumps that tall ass bridge in Sacramento, shoots a guy's Corvette off of there just to say fuck you. Parachutes out, and then next thing you know, he's in Europe going to a Rammstein concert. Like, dude, how does that not sell you a movie?
Matrix, they're playing Rammstein when they go to a club.
That's true, but this one has literally Rammstein in the movie.
Okay, cool. Anyway, actually, you know what? Funny, bring it back around. I actually saw Rammstein Evangelion AMV, so that's fitting, right?
Yeah,
and it was one that focused on Asuka, so that makes sense.
That would fit well too. And then I also like how, like, also in like those parts where like there's all like how like I guess you say the adult characters get all their moments. You know what I mean? You get like the scientist lady, and then you get Misato, and then you get there's the guy with like the ponytail, which. This is like a man out of time, because this guy would never be able to get around nowadays. He is like a
no
Me
way
Too
in the
case.
Me Too era. No way.
Every chick he's up, he's just like heading on her like, hey, what's up? How old are you? 12? I'm 14. Who the fuck cares? What do you want? What are you doing later tonight? And it's like just doing like it's like, well, yeah, don't worry about it, Masato. We'll go out tomorrow. It's okay. Me and Masato, we're going out tonight. We'll go out tomorrow. It's fine.
Well, I think it was one of those things where Kaji was, because Asuka was in some way I think Kaji was kind of her handler earlier on in Germany, because she said she met Misato before. Misato was kind of her handler for a little while, helping her just sort of not be a full-on guardian, but just kind of like helping her ease into the Eva process. Then she later went back to Japan. That's when she met Kaji, Asuka did. And then she has that whole, like, I think at first, because I think kind of wears on him, because she's always, Mr. Kaji, just always grabbing his arm or whatever. And at first, he seems like he's kind of like, it's just a cute schoolgirl crush, whatever, not a big deal, okay. Then as time goes on, he's very much like, kid, I don't fucking feel like it. No, okay, cool, no, I'm done, bye. She's like, all right, we got a suicide mission for you. Okay, if it gets the Japanese German girl off me, I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly, but make sure you take care of my fucking watermelons.
Yeah.
Damn it, Shinji, if there's one thing you fucking do, if you're gonna cry on them.
And then he's like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna hang out with Shinji a lot more. Why are you gonna hang out with stupid Shinji? Because he leaves me the fuck alone.
Because he's not trying to fuck me every moment.
Do you want me to go to... I already got, like... A reason why I'm jumping and transferring so much is to avoid all these sexual harassment cases. Because you're the only one I'm trying to avoid. And that's probably where more of her, like, I wasn't good enough, where that comes in.
Yeah, when they're, like, on the aircraft carrier, just, like, look at the stars, be like, that's probably that moment where he's like, that was probably a bad idea. Bringing out the fucking blanket, the stars are out, we're on an aircraft carrier, of course I brought wine and bread, I didn't think about it, that was a normal Tuesday for me, I kind of forgot that it was my guardian 14-year-old that I was with. Well, she's 12 probably at this time, shit, because it's in the past.
I just kind of blanked out, like, as soon as I'm grabbing the blanket, just suddenly wine and bread is in my hand, like, oh shit, I must have subconsciously grabbed this. Fuck.
It's just... it kind of goes hand in hand together. I kind of forget there's sometimes an age restriction and so on. I mean, I know that says it on a couple court orders, but you know how it is. You know how it is when you got a ponytail and like a little bit of like a Don Johnson scruff going.
You have like a tucked in shirt that's only partially tucked in. You're not you dress kind of like you don't give a shit, but kind of like your girlfriend tells you to put something nice on. Like, this is as much as I'm doing.
Well, that guy really is. He's the ultimate, like, like there would be like that, like high school professor who was kind of that guy who he dressed kind of nice, but he had that very kind of casual, kind of slacker sort of look. And, he was like much more handsome. He wasn't just like, your old like fogarty like teacher and so on. That's almost what he sort of represents, where like the girls are like, oh, look, look at Mr. Whatever, him up there. He's like, oh, he's so amazing. You're like, that's a man right there. Unlike all these like 13-year-old boys that I'm with that are a bunch of children. I want a real man. I want a 34-year-old man.
And where, like, Misato is kind of like that for the guys, Kaji is like that for the girls. Yeah. Or at least, we never really see Kaji interact with any other, like, schoolgirls other than Asuka, just because she just won't leave him the fuck alone. She's the only one that he's like, no, I'm not doing this shit. And he even makes, I'm going to jump ahead here, even in, like, one of the Rebuild movies, Kaji makes a joke about coming on to Shinji. Like, it does this uncomfortable, like, just joke. Like, he's leaning in for a kiss, but then he's like, nah, he's actually just grabbing something behind him. Like, I almost got you, didn't I? And just backs away,
That's awesome. Well, I just like, it's like, even like, when he starts off, you kind of look at this guy like, who the fuck's this douchebag guy walking around? Just like, every chick that's there is just like hitting on and stuff. And it comes from Misato's like, oh, we dated back in the day, but this fucking asshole's back here again. And like, he's like, whatever. There's always next week. We'll party later. Hold on, I'm gonna take the secretary out right now. See ya. And he just walks out, just so cool, like jacket over the shoulder, just like, what you gonna do about it?
He's like, I still got that jet I got back in episode 13 or whatever. Just hops in.
And then I just like, as it goes on, they make him sort of like this kung fu master who has all this like wise wisdom and so on, which I guess can also work too at the same time. But it just seems funny. He just starts off this guy who's just like, yo, what's up? What's up, babes? He just literally, I'm surprised he's not riding in like sort of a motorcycle. Like, where'd you get that motorcycle? I don't know. It was on my front porch. I decided to take it out for a ride. No biggie. I found it. It's not yours. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. That kind of old, saying.
It was either my front yard or my neighbor's front yard. I don't remember. They all kind of look the same to me.
It's just like that old Jedi wisdom I like to use. I don't think too hard on anything. I just kind of go in the moment. You know what I mean? Because he comes across like that kind of person, too. Like, hey, let me lay some samurai wisdom on you. You were a samurai? No. I saw a movie once. It was pretty good.
Had Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, shit.
It was authentic.
That was the last samurai if I've ever seen one before. Let me tell you.
And he's going on though. The thing is like, all right, no, kid, chill the fuck out. I'm watering watermelons, and there is an angel behind you. People are running. Chill the fuck out.
Like this guy's like so calm with it. You know what? First impact, second impact, third impact. It's all okay. The only thing that matters to me in this life is these goddamn watermelons.
But you could actually pilot a ship, so you should go do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to chill right here, though. Not like I can do anything about it other than water some watermelon. Okay, do we get?
He's like one of those kind of guys who probably just walked into that job. You know what I mean? Like somehow, some way, he was probably never even hired. He just kind of charmed his way in, and next thing you know, he's running things.
They just like his IDs. Like, I know how to work Photoshop. What?
Shit, yeah. I got internet connections. 2015. Get the fuck out.
Well, another thing about that is, I actually think, and I'm not trying to look too hard here, just for how deep the show gets on certain things. I honestly think as it goes on, because the show, Hideaki Anno, when he was making this thing, it starts off as one thing, kind of starts off kind of moody with a little bit of comedy, and it has some of those shonen tropes to it. And then it kind of lightens up once Asuka comes onto the show. And then it's like, okay, we're in full tilt shonen now. We still get a little bit of psychology, and it's still a little bit of like philosophy here and there, but more so than most of these kind of shows. But, it's still kind of in that ballpark. And then it reaches that point where everything just starts to go downhill for the characters. And I think that's when Hideaki Anno, because he got depressed partway through making this. And I think it shows definitely in this. And I think Kaji, I'm not sure if it was intentional initially, but I feel like maybe he's meant to throw you off as being kind of like all these things we just joked about him being. But then he comes in as like you said, this wise samurai figure. And I almost feel like it's more of like that was all stuff he threw. Like, yeah, he's a ladies' man, but that was more things he threw on as a persona to throw people off his scent, because he's trying to infiltrate Nerve for the Japanese government or the UN. I think I don't remember if it was the UN or Japanese government.
I think it's the UN.
He's trying to infiltrate them and to figure out what is the Human Instrumentality Project. So that whole thing right there, that's a whole story that unfolds because of him tampering. And it's kind of this thing like, man, if only they got there a little, by the time we get to the end of this, like, only if they got there a little sooner, maybe they can stop that. So that's what's kind of interesting about him, because he totally changes. And this thing goes quasi Metal Gear Solid near the end.
No, it has a lot of like those Metal Gear Solid. Well, yeah, I guess even like, because there's a lot of these moments where I was like, that feels kind of Metal Gear Solid. But I'm like, well, if anything, this show came up before, and it's not Metal Gear Solid, not maybe Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid. So it's almost like, I think a lot of things went like, oh shit, what was pretty sweet was that Evangelion. Let's kind of work that into Rex. You know what I mean? We'll make him seem kind of like he's partially alive and everything like that.
Well, then there's like there's the ones that bleed in Metal Gear 4, right? Don't those ones bleed?
Yeah, I think they do. So that definitely is there too. And there was something else I was thinking of that it came just like right afterwards. Like, because also the other thing too, and I mean, granted, once again, Evangelion's before this, but Resident Evil, I think, really took a lot from it too, because once you get some of those last episodes and you get like those weird fucking mutation things that like have that William Birkin kind of look to them, I was like, oh, you could sort of see where that came from. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, that's not in Resident Evil 1, which is like the exact same, time period as Evangelion. Resident Evil 2 and 3 and so on, you get those weird fucking mutation things start happening. Mm-hmm. Coincidence?
Yeah. Well, then you also get, what was I going to say? It was a cool thing I was going to bring up regarding that. Well, Keel, he also seems like a villain out of Resident Evil or Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I can see that too. That has a very like Resident Evil feel, very like Metal Gear, like kind of militaristic one.
And yeah, because Keel, he just sits there with that visor, just this old guy who's, I mean, I hate Cele. I don't think really meant to like Cele, but at the same time, I mean, when they suddenly say like, you know what, fuck you, we're doing video, we're not doing video, we're doing audio only, and they turn their holograms become those monoliths. You can't tell me that's not meant to be a homage to Kubrick.
Oh, it's totally 2001 Space Odyssey there, by far. It's 100% that, you know, especially like those last handful of episodes, and especially even the end of that movie too. Tons of Kubrick 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it just reminds me like that thing where someone like watched that and they're like, you know what, that part was cool, but imagine if you went like even farther with it.
You know, I like monkeys hitting each other with like sticks and all that. What if they're fucking kaijus? What? You'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. Watch when it goes like, you know, berserk. It'll be just like that scene. You know, and then it's also even got like kind of that space opera feel too, where it's got like the music sort of like, you know, like the classical music playing over the top of that and so on.
Well, it's weird because there's sometimes that classical music. We're jumping over to End of Evangelion. We'll go back to the series, the main series, in a second. But I just want to say, since you brought that up, it's weird because the music would change. Sometimes it has a whole anime kind of guitar kind of vibe to it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it has that very like, like the Halo thing almost sounds all holy and kind of like some end of the world shit is fucking happening. And there's some parts where the music sounds more like, I'm going to say it might seem like a weird pool, but some of it sounds like very like something out of an Alan Silvestri score. Like the guy he did a lot of the more recent Marvel movies. He did Forrest Gump. He's like one of the biggest, aside from, he's like the other John Williams. I think another recent one he did was Ready Player One. Like, say a pretty big movie from the 90s and even late 80s. He probably did it. Yeah. If it wasn't John Williams. I think it sounds somewhat like his stuff, kind of like when time is clicking down and Asuka's fighting the last couple of the White Avas. That really sounds like kind of a variation of a score from Forrest Gump to me. That part. But nice. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe because I know that soundtrack too well. I don't know. I have this playlist when I'm writing, and it's music. It's like orchestra and movie score stuff, you know. But so his stuff, it just sounds kind of like that to me.
I could see that. That'd be kind of interesting. I do want to say this real quick. There was a little shout out I want to kind of give. We had a comment on YouTube on the first episode or whatever from, I want to say it's Antabaka. That's how I wrote it down, at least. And you know how it is when you write things down. But sent a link that said like there was this big fat from the creator of Evangelion, like a big old like interview there that was like translated from Japanese and everything. A cool link there that kind of went through stuff. And just different things breaking it down about like, you know, how like, you know, how the end of the episode went, how he doesn't like when people call like them robots. He's like, robots fucking died of Gundam. It's like, I did something new. It's like, well, at first glance, it sure looks like a robot. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. On the cover, if you don't know what it is, you assume you're getting into a robot thing just because it's a bio robot. That's how I call it. So like a bioorganic robot. Because that's like those weird things you sort of learn as it goes on. It's like, what these things are, that they're not robots, that they're like, everything's kind of like, they're like humans and, you know, kind of mutated or whatever you want to say from like the Atom creature or whatnot. I'm still sort of like confused on some of this stuff. There's like, I feel like this is definitely one of those shows where I think it leaves things open-ended so that it kind of has that thinking thing. Not like in an open-ended, stupid way, like, you make your own ideas. But more just like, you know what, it's just kind of there. It's like we dropped you off in this world and you don't really know everything that's going on. But try to piece it together. Hurry up, you know. Hurry up. Chop now.
We're not doing the thinking for you.
No time for fucking dilly-dally and asking stupid questions. Keep up.
Well, Anno himself, he said in an interview, like, we're not going to pander you. We're not going to give you all the answers. And he said some things are intentionally not answered because, you know, we'll throw pieces out there. But some things we want you to figure out yourselves, and so we don't want to also alter, we don't want to ruin it for you. Because, you know, the whole thing at the end is they go on, and we'll move a little bit more. I think we'll just break it down more by the characters and what they go through. But jumping ahead to, like, the end of the show, not the end of the movie, but end of the show where they say there's as many truths as there are people. So to fit what he's saying and get the message across that, like, there is no book to happiness. There is no straight path to happiness. There is no equation that just makes it happen. It's just you gotta find your own path. So that's kind of his attitude towards like, well, I don't want to ruin it for somebody. So this is me saying, yeah, there are some things that are, you know, solid and what the show is. But there's some things we want to leave open-ended because we want people to form their own opinion and we don't want to shatter someone else's view. So, you know, I get that.
Well, like, one question I've had this whole time is, what's the first impact?
First impact, I think that's whatever killed the dinosaurs.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's what I always kind of learned. I'm like, okay, the second impact happened 15 years ago, happened in Antarctica. Okay, we've seen that. That's how Masato loses her father and all that kind of stuff, and that's how the world has been reshifted. But I'm like, well, what the fuck was the first impact? I'm sitting here, I was trying to make it up. I'm like, okay, first impact is that World War II? Is that the first impact? Shit, Godzilla was created and everything.
Gary Busey was born.
Yeah, it's like, because, you know, I felt like it never brought any mention to it. Shit, I was playing the N64 video game. I'm like, maybe they'll explain the first impact in here. I mean, I know it's all in Japanese, but I'll try to find out. No.
You'll try and capture a couple of words, like Shinji, the Antarctica. Like, fuck, I got that one, but I just gotta get the rest.
I love that game. It's just like, because it's all in Japanese, and then just like whenever like something happens to you when you're in like Shinji's robot, he just like has this freak out face, and it like zooms in like it does at like the very end of the show. He's like, "Wah! Wah!" And it's just like, God, this is that game that like when you like dad's sitting there with a fucking newspaper in like 1998. Now I guess it didn't come out in America, so maybe it's a little bit different in Japan, but let's just assume it did. Just like, the fuck are you playing? Like, what is that boy keep screaming like he's getting raped from that other robot?
It's like, oh, I don't get it. My day, the cartoons, they would like be chasing each other with hammers. There's a fucking roadrunner and a coyote. Now he's like a boy who's crying all the time. He's riding a robot. God damn it! I wish I had a robot when I was a child.
See, it's like, here's the thing. In my Japanese cartoons, it was about a boy and his car and his friend that fixed the car for him and his dad who was always yelling at him to get him into races, and he had a monkey and, you know, a little brother. And I'm not too sure if the monkey was also his little brother, too. You know, it's fucking Japanese and all. Yeah, you know how that shit is.
He's going on like, I mean, lose little brother and you got a dream right there.
Shit, I mean, you know how Grandpa always said that there was a bunch of monkeys he fought in World War? I mean, I'm not being racist. That's his exact words. Just like, oh, geez, Dad, that's what you... He's like, well, when you're 5 years old and watching Speed Racer, and your or I guess my father, your grandfather, is sitting over you, looming at you, saying, what the fuck? Look at that little Japanese monkey boy there. You get confused. You start thinking about it. You're like, wait a second. Is that... Maybe Chim Chim is like his brother. I don't know.
Just one of those things where he's just like, the kid just suddenly questions everything. He goes, oh my God, is this the way it is? Or is Grandpa racist? It's just one of those things. He's just now realizing it. Like, it's all clicking together. Yeah. I thought it was funny that his raincoat was white.
Yeah, though it wasn't
not
raining.
Made out of raincoats, made out of bed sheets.
And it wasn't raining. I just, it made it. In fact, it was really hot out in Alabama.
I mean, if you have one large cross in your shed, okay, whatever, you might need it for something, I don't know what. But when you got 12 and they keep on disappearing and reappear like a few days later, like, huh?
That's what the boy's like. You mean? I thought Grandpa was really into Evangelion.
Now, here's the thing about this show. Since it's going into the whole Christian thing, at some point, when I was younger, I was like, are they going to fight a giant kaiju Jesus? Is that going to happen at some point? Are we going to see Unit 1 or Unit 2 get like Jesus in a headlock?
Well, you know what's really the interesting thing, though, is though it has, like, crosses in it and so on, and, they're called angels and stuff, they're really...
Old Testament.
It still never, like, mentions Christianity, and it never really has anything, like, totally, like, Christian in it. It just sort of has, like, Christian, like, I guess, symbols and kind of, like, just, like, words and so on. But beyond that, though, it's never, like... It never goes really, like, in, like, that religious route, which I think is kind of interesting. It's just more just using it for, like, cool looks and just kind of, like, Masato's got, like, a cross on, but she never questioned it. She really doesn't look like she goes to church, you know what I mean?
Nah.
She just likes drinking beer and eating fast food.
Hanging out with penguins.
Yeah, hanging out with penguins.
Well, no, here's the thing about that, though. The way I understand what it's trying to be, it's kind of like, I'm going to make a weird comparison here. It's kind of like Thor in the movie, how it's kind of like, okay, Norse mythology, it's actually just this other world, and all this stuff was kind of picked up on by humans, and we kind of made mythology out of it. Where this right here, it's kind of like, all right, there were aliens and these astral beings that came down, and we just, though that's actually what we thought, what they thought God was, it was whatever this thing is right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're like, well, you know what? We can fucking harness this god power. You know what I mean? If we just start combining things together, a science lab. Guess what? This Evangelion.
Because they mentioned the Dead Sea Scrolls, and those are real.
Yeah. So they did mention that, but it's like it still kind of keeps it to like a minimum, which I think is kind of neat. I mean, once again, I guess that falls into like because this was always that like the shows. It felt like no matter how many episodes I was going through, it's like I never quite got exactly what the hell was going on for the most part. It's like you get those tidbits. I mean, you got enough to like comprehend it, but I think that's sort of where it does. It leaves a lot of things just sort of open ended, just like yeah, it's there. You saw it.
Well, moving forward through the show, because as things start to get good and kind of like, you know, like, oh, things are going to be okay and we're having fun. We're going to stop and second guess ourselves for a minute, but we're having a good time. The second Toji goes into the Evangelion and he doesn't come back, that's where the show just goes down like, oh, what the fuck? And that's in the manga. That's one of the things in the manga. Toji doesn't like, in the manga, he full on dies. In this, though, he gets hurt, and he's just kind of out of commission for the rest of the show. And that was one of the things where...
I thought he died in it for some reason, but I guess...
Well, he's in the hospital, and I guess they kind of leave it... Because he's in the hospital, and he's talking to the class rep. He's like, say bye to my sister for me. And it kind of, like, fades off. But I think they say later that Toji was transferred or something. I think it said that somewhere in passing. But, from there, though, then you have Asuka, like, losing every battle and second questioning herself. And Rey's just doing, I'm just doing what I do, and it somehow all pans out. And then then when she actually goes, and that's probably the big part of it, when she actually dies, and like, oh, she's back, though. That's weird, that's cool. And then you find out, oh, wait, every time she gets really fucked up or she dies, we just pull something out of the rate tank. We just grab a hold of one of these things like it's a fucking fish and throw it back out there.
Yeah, we just kind of hold up a couple like, you know, like fucking pieces of tuna right there, and then one of those rays jumps out and we grab her up a net.
Yeah, gotcha, bitch.
They just kind of, you know, take her in and, you know, next thing you know, throw her in her fucking, like, dank apartment, and then she's back to normal again.
That's why she's so sad. She likes swimming around with all her ray fins. That's why they're so happy in that tank. That part, now I'm curious to know, when you got to that part, were you like, oh, what the fuck? Or like, oh, I kind of sort of saw it coming.
Well, I knew that she was something. I didn't, like, at first I was like, is she an android? And then I was like that. So then I was like, okay, so she's kind of like, yeah, she's made, like, kind of like, in a sense, like, clone body kind of material, whatever. Now here's the thing: is she supposed to be like a clone, sort of Shinji's mom?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
She's a cross between a clone of Shinji's mom and Lilith.
Oh, that's right, with Lilith put in there and so on, which then gives like a weird like thing where like a
little bit of an Oedipus thing going on.
Yeah, where Shinji's into his clone mother.
He's not really so much into her, I think, because whenever Shinji has one of those psych out moments, and it's usually Asuka, Rei, or Masato kind of leaning over him or like hitting on him. I think those are the most three prominent women in his life. So he just keeps on just seeing them because he's like, I got these urges, but I don't know what they mean. Oh, I'll just attach it onto one of these three. And I think it's kind of meant to be that, or I also think it could be, because apparently when Anno was making this, he was really disillusioned with anime culture by that point. Mm-hmm. So this was meant to be kind of somewhat satirical and dissecting it too. So like, oh, here's your different stereotypical anime, like dream girls. But guess what? This one's an alcoholic and has trouble expressing her sexuality. This one's a raging bitch with major mom issues. And this one's your fucking mom. Huh?
And she's also, you know, your mom if your mom had like not really any personality.
Yeah.
You know, well, I think, because you know what this almost feels like? Neon Genesis almost feels like Watchmen for like Japanese sort of kaiju mech monster movies.
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it comes across. It feels like a Watchmen. Like after you've had years of superheroes, then you get the Watchmen. After you've had years of mech movies, because you think about like from like probably even like the 50s, but you know, like I guess you probably could say ever since like Godzilla, because then you know once you get to the 60s and 70s, that's when like just copious amounts of like anime mech stuff starts coming out all over the place, and then 80s and so on. So it is like kind of a big buildup right into it. So it would make total sense there. But I think, yeah, it is kind of, you take these anime, like, you know, tropes almost, and then you spin them all, because that's sort of how it is. I mean, like, you got your main character here who, like, in a general anime, be like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm 10 years old, I'm fucking gonna be a Pokemon master, woo! You know, look at me, I'm flying a spaceship. Ah, I'm so awesome. Kids.
Then you take a kid who's on the spectrum and throw him in a robot.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing about Shinji. Shinji's just like, he's like that little bitch who's just gonna hang out in the corner and has no friends, no one's gonna talk to him, and so on like that. And then you go, hey, Shinji, you're drafted for a war. What?
Yeah. Well, here's my question to you, because at first you're like, I don't like Shinji, then you warmed up to Shinji. Are you back to square one by the time this show ends?
It does, because Shinji sort of peters out, especially like at like the total end, like that in like the movie. Shinji's just such like a bitch because he just goes back to like, fuck it, I hate everybody can suck my dick, I hate myself, life's dumb, I killed that one gay kid who was actually into me, it wasn't my fault, they said he was an angel, my dad said kill him, get rid of the gay, what? Dad, but I kind of like him. He's like, no son of mine, we'll smash you with your... Which I remember that, like, when that part came, that part was actually, like, very, I felt ballsy for, like, a 1995 cartoon. Because it's like, okay, nowadays, that stuff I'm almost like, whenever I see it now, it just feels, like, so shoehorned in there. Because it's like, it doesn't matter, like, what show it is. At some point, they're going to take one of the characters, and they're going to give him, like, a gay twist. I just remember, like, even that, like, in Gotham. It's like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, the Riddler's going to be kind of gay for Penguin. Or, no, Penguin was kind of gay for Riddler. It's like, well...
Oh, they did that?
They did.
Okay.
They made Penguin kind of have like a gay thing for Riddler, but Riddler wasn't gay for Penguin.
And
then they did the same. They did the exact same thing too with like Barbara Gordon and like her friends. They like kind of made her gay for a bit too. But it feels shoehorned. It doesn't feel like natural. Just felt like they had like all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I had a gay moment. Then it passed. Whatever. I'm back to killing people.
I can see Montoya being gay. All right.
Well, they made her gay like in the 90s or something. Like that was like one of the first like DC characters. They're like, we'll try it out as like a real background character.
This will be a test run.
Yeah, well, she's a woman too, because you know, mostly even a hardcore Republican's fine with a woman being gay. You know what I mean? So it's that weird thing. So like, we'll just see what happens there. Then we'll try Kyle Rayner next, maybe.
But the thing with I'll say this: by the end, I still don't hate Shinji. I like him, all right. But the thing is, when you get to let's actually talk about Kwaru for a minute. Well, here's a little thing. They actually kind of a lot of people got mad at the Netflix version because the Netflix one, I'm not sure. Maybe their dub team, I have no idea what's going on there because they had some weird choices when trying to translate it because, you know, it's hard to translate directly and have it make sense in English. But essentially... He in the first American dub by ADV, Kwaru says like when they're in the shower room together, and he says, "What I'm saying is I love you." He says that, and that's a phrase that can kind of go multiple ways in Japanese, like "you're worthy of my grace" or "you're this" or "you're that." And I'm surprised of all the things, because how many things Netflix has on their original shows, how they decided to make them say, "You are worthy of my grace, and I like you." I was like, oh, you guys kind of pulled punches on that one. I thought you guys were gonna fucking go for it because they don't beat around the bush in the original dub. He says like, oh, dude, I love you. It's like, oh, fuck. Which you think
about that, like in 1998, that would have been a fucking like that would have been a hard sell at that time period doing that. You'd be like, oh, that's ballsy then. You know what I mean?
Not especially what's considered to be a shonen show. Or maybe not
yeah,
that
well,
time slot
that's
by
I mean,
then.
because you think about like at that time period. It's not saying anything against the show, but you know who the target audience that they're selling it to is like 15 to like 25-year-olds. You know, like sometimes anime back in the day almost felt like sold to sort of older people at the same time, like people that got Viz magazine and whatnot because you know they had money.
I feel like a lot of anime was sold to people that like in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, so it's
because
like
a lot of times DVD sets would be like $30, and it's like, fuck you, where else are you gonna go? And then streaming became a thing, and now Funimation, maybe one or two more. I think Manga still around, maybe Manga Entertainment.
Yeah, like that. That was always like the original one. I can't remember. They did like Street Fighter the movie and Akira and all that stuff.
All the manga stuff that felt like very like it's just like, no man, we recorded this whole thing in Johnny's mom's basement.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then there was Viz, because Viz, I remember that being like, when you found like a catalog of that, it'd be like, oh god, look at this. This is where like all the anime and manga exist. Like, but it's so fucking expensive. That was all I remember.
There's always like a very edgy picture of like the Major from Ghost in the Shell. Like, she's almost naked, but she's a robot.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have like that and so on, and then they'd have like, you know, like Rama 1/2 or something like, you gotta get Rama 1/2 today. What are you fucking doing? They
What
can't
would
show
you
the-
do if you hopped in water and you suddenly grew a pair of tits? Well, we'll find out what Rama does. I think that's his name. Is Rama the guy? I'm
Yeah.
assuming? Okay, I was gonna say.
And then your dad, when he gets water splashed on, he turns into a giant panda. Life's tough, you know, in Japan.
That's fucked up in the land of Rama.
But yeah, so it's like that, because that's even where I remember just seeing pictures of Neon Genesis was in Viz magazine or the catalogs for that too. Is that like you would see that and be like, huh? Because that's always what it was. It's like, what's this anime that I know I'll never get because look how expensive it fucking is.
Well,
And
yeah,
I don't have a credit card, like, because that's like that time period where you had to like write the credit card number down and send the slip in, and hopefully hope in 6 to 8 weeks that DVD makes it.
It made it to that particular place, and then like gets sent to the wrong person. Like, oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, or I guess you put your credit. I guess you could put your credit card number down, but I guess you'd send a check would be the safe way to do it. But
yeah,
I have a fucking checking account.
Unless it was a subscription, unless it was some kind of subscription thing or something. But,
yeah, I was 10 years old. I didn't have a checking account yet.
But moving forward through that though, when cause the whole thing with Kwaru, the whole thing is by that point Shinji, he's kind of lost everybody. You know, he's like, I don't know, Rei, she's always so emotionally devoid, and I just found out that it's never the same Rei. It's always been a different Rei because she keeps fucking dying. Masato, I don't know, I don't know how to accept this, and Kwaru's the only person that. Yeah, Kwaru's the only, and Asuka fucking hates me, and she's always having a mental breakdown. And Kwaru is the only person that just came out to me like that and, you know, said this shit, said he loved me. So I don't know. I think Shinji's kind of at that point, because I guess you get people like, is Shinji gay or is he straight? I think he's kind of more bi, or he's kind of at that point where he doesn't know himself because he's still young and he's still like, oh, whatever hole will do. Whoever likes me, I'll go land on that.
Well, yeah, I feel like he's just a guy who's confused because literally, like, a normal person would know what they're getting led into there, because it's like there's like a build-up for Shinji there. It's like, you know, he meets this guy and he seems like this nice guy at school, and the next thing you know, he's like, hey, you want to go like hang out and watch the sunset? Oh, okay. And then it's like, yeah, you know, let's go do a workout. It'll be nice and tough. Oh man, I get me getting sweaty. You want to go to the bathhouse? You know? He's like, well, did anybody else be there? No, just be us. You know, we bros hanging out together. Come on, Shinji. It's like, I feel like this, he is led into, like, that's like almost like, you don't know what's going on. He might just like you, but he's also a guy who could be leading you into, like, the rape house. Because when they go in that bathhouse, it's, like, dark and dimly lit in there. And there's, like, nobody else there, but it's, like, really wide and open. Like,
so often you get that bright neon red sign for Nerve.
Yeah, like
it's, I like how it's this thing of, like, it shows, like, Mount Fuji or whatever. They're trying to be all calm and serene. They're like, we're enjoying this. Okay, then the big icon pops up, like, don't forget you're at fucking work.
Yeah, exactly. But he almost is acting like he's like, well, where'd you get those keys from? Yeah, got them from the guy. I know the guy who owns the place here. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't question how I got these keys to the bathhouse.
Just like a fucking body just drops out.
Yeah, exactly. But I just still think it's kind of funny when they go that part. Then Shinji's just like, oh, I don't know. It's just like, there's all the girls are after me. The guys are after me. Yeah, but my dad doesn't love me, so it's just not worth it.
I think he's just like, well, by that point, he hates his dad, so
like,
I don't really
know.
I
always like how Dad's like, yeah, you know what? You know, if I hang out with Shinji, it's just going to make him weaker. I think it's best that we work together at the same company, but we don't talk.
Well, it's even one of those things of like,
I want to make sure he's okay. Like, you know, he's getting fed and everything like that. I just don't want to really, like, be there. It's this weird thing. Like, you know, I want to be in his life, but not a part of his life, if that makes sense.
Like, let me put it this way. Before, you know, if he wants to stay at my house, that's fine. I won't be there. I'll leave a bowl of water for him, just in case he gets thirsty.
I'll pour out some dog food. Is that what children eat? I can't remember. You know, I didn't really.
Well, he's gonna eat it. I'll say that much. I already got some.
I know my son. He's that kind of one that if that's all he has to eat, he will eat it. He doesn't have any dignity.
So
that's why I like the Ray child here. You know what I mean? Because it's like I have mother back, but I also get a kid at the same time who could beat up Shinji. You know what I mean? It's perfect.
And also, she does what she's told, doesn't talk back. Like, oh shit, I got a teenage daughter, but none of that other bullshit that comes with it.
Yeah, she's literally the perfect teenage daughter, the perfect soldier. And you know what? The worst thing is, if somehow I lose her, she gets broken or anything like that, I just pull a new one out, just like Shamu.
Get the tuna.
See, here's the thing. If I lose Shinji, that's it. You know what I mean? There's no more other Shinjis. I mean, I guess that's not a bad thing.
Could be worse. I mean, I'll say this. If day Shinji goes down, I'm just going to say I broke even.
Yeah, you know, the day I lose my last Ray, because, you know, I've only made like 1,000 of them.
That's that fucking blonde bitch came in.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't get the hint. She can't fucking... She doesn't understand the term, like, just friends with benefits. She doesn't get that at all.
Yeah, shit, that's what
told that to her mom. She didn't think the mom would have fucking told that to the daughter. Pass that shit down.
Yeah, I thought that's what Nerve was all about. You know what I mean? Shit, that's what the UN's all about, I hear.
Fucking moms and fucking daughters.
Yeah, shit. So yeah, I shoved her mom into the experiment. Fuck her. Need to make myself more Ray daughters.
Well, no, the mom, because the mom was like, she created the Magi system, which kind of runs Nerve. And then once, you know, because she never liked Yui. That was the thing. Because once Yui's soul got sucked into the Eva, and then from there, after that, like, you know, she's like, wait, this Ray kid looks fucking familiar. She's like, oh, fuck, it's Yui! And just starts strangling her, like, oh, what the fuck? You know, that's just one of those things. Like,
well, there is that part, too. Like, also, Ray comes in as, like, 8-year-old Ray and goes, like, you're a fucking old hag. I hope you fucking die. Ha 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 ha. Old hag, old hag, old hag. Just sitting there, it's like a fucking alarm or something like that. So she's like, you know what? Fucking hate Yui, but fucking hate this little kid.
I think it's running through her head a bunch of this. It would be funny if it was like an alarm, but I think she heard it once or twice, and then she's like,
she does say old hag a couple times. I know that though.
She's like, well, the old man. That's what Gendo keeps on saying. He says that old hag is useless. He's like, that little fucking bitch is gonna die. Then, you know, strangles her, then kills herself, and then like, so that's the first Ray down. He says, oh, well, luckily I have backups, so yeah.
Good there. You just put another quarter in this machine and another one pops out. It plays a little song too when she comes around, like
a pachinko machine.
Yeah, exactly. You can play a game too while you're getting a new Ray out. You know, helps pass the time. You know, I get bored quick.
Like, you see my office? It's very big and it's very empty. Yeah. I know I wanted it that way, but I'm starting to have second guesses. But I feel like if I ask for fun things to put in there now with UN funding, I feel like I lost.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
This is down in Central Dogma. Only I have the passcode. Well, me and Fiyutsuki. No one else better find these fucking passcodes.
I'm one of those guys, when I make a decision, I stick with it. When I walked out on Shinji, I stuck with it. Still there this day. You know what? No, said I was going out for a pack of cigarettes. I just left. Mother died. I brought Shinji in so he could have a job so I could watch over him. But we ain't talking still. You know what I mean?
Still not over that shit. I mean, shit. I mean, let me say, I'm not the one who lost the ball game that day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The second that he lost that game, that son was dead to me. I mean, I still want to make sure he's doing good. That's why I gave him a fucking job where he has to save the world, but still.
No pressure.
No pressure. I know he's not into that kind of stuff. I thought that would make him a man. Instead, he's fucking jerking off on comatose girls, but I guess it's better than him jerking off on a comatose boy in a bathhouse. I don't know anymore.
Maybe it's a matter of time before that happens, though.
You know, shit, I don't know, maybe he meets a nice, strong, strapping, you know, lad who's got a beard and, you know, works at the lumber company. Maybe that will change Shinji a bit. I'm not too sure.
Hey, Fiyutsuki.
I threw three women at him and it hasn't done shit other than him fucking jerking off in the corner with a penguin.
I think he likes the penguin more than he likes the fucking girls by this point. Like, hey, Fiyutsuki, you still in contacts with Toriyama? Yeah, the guy that works down at the quarry? Maybe you get Shinji, like, put a good word in for Shinji. I know he doesn't like lifting heavy things, but still, I think, you know, whether he finds a man or a woman, I don't give a shit. Just maybe he just gets some muscles. I don't know, you know?
Really, Shinji is, like, he is literally the anti-father son. Because he is like everything that like it like you know the
disappointed dad.
Yeah, he literally is like the ultimate disappointed like child. You know what I mean? He's like weak. He's frail. He cries. He has no friends. Real. I mean, I guess he sort of has friends, but they feels like sympathy friends. You know what I mean? Like even if you put him in situations where he can't fucking lose, he still finds a way to lose.
Well, at first you think
you put fucking Game Genie cheats on his like Super Mario thing, and he still loses all his lives. You don't even know how that's possible.
Well, there's that couple of times where he blinks out, like, how'd he do it? He's just that good. Like, oh no, his mother's soul, which is inside the Eva, overtook it and then was protecting her son. So
see, even at fucking 14 years old, mom is still coming in there.
Hiding under mom's dress.
Because that's even that part too, where like once like Asuka gets to like her like weird depression, where she's like, "Fuck it, what's the point? Just mother hung herself the day I got to be an Ava pilot. It's just stupid." You know what I mean? There's one thing that I was into was being an Ava pilot, and I fucking worked my entire, like, 6 years of life becoming an Ava pilot. And the second that I, like, got my degree, I went over to tell Mom how I was. And you know how she said, like, I thought she was gonna put it on the refrigerator. No, she hung herself on the fucking refrigerator.
I thought she was gonna make me an afternoon snack. No.
No.
It's like, well, this is a very elaborate sandwich. Why she got that stool?
And that's it. There's that part where she's just like, this where they find like Asuka, like, what happened to Asuka? It's like she's just in like some like dilapidated like fucking apartment. God knows whose apartment it is. Like it's like fucking like heroin town. You know what I mean? She's just there in this like dirty ass like tub, just sitting there like, fuck it, point.
I think by that point, because they say everyone they knew ends up leaving. So I think by that point, like, there's really nothing left of Tokyo 3. I think by that point, it's just a bunch of ruins and everything's destroyed. So she just found one like, this one still has some running water. All right.
Yeah, I'll fill up this bath. It's gonna sit.
I think she was sitting there just waiting to die. And
I think so.
That whole scene right there, because I do feel bad because, I'll say this, a lot of times when you have the angry or mopey characters in anime or whatever, I get a little tired of it, but I think Evangelion has a very natural progression. Now, I will say by the end, you are a little bit of like, okay, dude, get the fuck over it. But at the same time, I kind of get how they get there, and it is more of like, it throws you a lot of curveballs, and it never does the thing you expect it to do. So, and plus, once they're getting to the end of the series, that's also when it was a couple of things. That train attack happened in Japan with the sarin gas, where 15 people died. It was by a doomsday death cult. So they're like, it's now the time to do an end of the world story. And then on top of that, they also had that's where like a lot of the studios and a lot of like, usually it seems to be Japan's very lenient on, yeah, just don't show pubic hair. We don't give a fuck. But that was one case you're like, no, losing funding here, losing funding there. We're not doing that. And so they were originally going to make something more akin that what the end of Evangelion movie is closer to what the original ending was going to be. But then they come in, they're like, you know what? We don't have the money for that either, and they're not going to show a lot of this shit. So let's just go into more of the themes of Evangelion and make it a big, long therapy session of each of the main characters in their minds. And it does that thing like, look, end of the world happened. We don't got time to go over it. But let's focus on these people right here and what's going on in their minds after the fact, because they're already fused as the one being by this point.
You know what it sort of reminded me of, too, is like, the Ralph Bakshi movie Wizards? Because that movie sort of has that, too, where like the last, like, third of the movie, or whatever, like it kind of like their budget was kind of cut, so they throw in like a bunch of like just like old World War II footage because it was like
with a
public domain.
Over it.
Yeah, it's like public domain, so it's like we'll fill it out, like it's got some weird interdimensional thing going on there, And I mean, like as far as like a budget restraint, like I kind of get it. It's kind of weird if somebody doesn't tell you that's kind of fucking weird in that movie, I feel. But if you kind of get it, like okay, budget restraint, like I can understand like where that's coming from, but because I will say, like, the end of Evangelion, like, those last handful of episodes, I'm kind of like, they were kind of okay. It was a little bit, like, too much of, like, that, like, who am I? Life
it could have been summed up in one episode.
I think so, because, I mean, it goes on for, like, a good, like, 4 or 5 episodes of, like, flashing fucking lights.
It goes on for 2 episodes. The whole, like...
Oh, it's more than 2 episodes, because it took me, like, a couple of days to get through those things. I mean, like, there's a progression. There is those ones where it's, like, extreme, but I want to say it's, like, 3 or 4 episodes.
Okay, there's multiple times where he has the mind trip, and he's in his head, or Asuka's in her head. That happens a couple times beforehand, but the last 2 episodes are 2 straight mind trips that are, like, wait, what? Where they have moments before where Shinji falls into the angel that has like that weird extra universe where he just where he's like having a mind trip in there. He has a mind trip when he gets sucked into the Ava. Asuka has her mind trip, and then you get to the 2 mind trip episodes, and those ones go on a little longer. And I kind of get, at the time I was like, that was a ballsy choice, but like. I've been talking a lot. You go ahead for a minute.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because it seemed like after the gay kid dies, like that's kind of where like all like the sort of robot punching action stops. I know there's like that primal instinct to me. It's like, hey, it's been a handful of episodes. I haven't seen a robot punch another robot for a while. They're not robots. No, they're fucking bio robots. I get it. Robots died of no. It's like they're robots. They're just bio-engineered robots. But it's like there was that point where it's like, hey, when's a robot gonna punch another robot? I felt like I was guaranteed.
I'll settle for stabbing.
Yeah, or stabbing, or shanking, or shooting a gun. Like I felt like I was guaranteed like a good robot battle in every single episode, and then all of a sudden that just disappeared.
Oh, one thing I want to say real quick. I just want to go back to Gendo just for a minute, because
Gendo the gay kid?
No, Gendo is Shinji's dad.
Oh yeah, that's right. What's the little gay kid's name?
Kwaru.
There we go. God, that sounds like that creature on Total Recall. Quado.
Oh, Quado, yeah. Gendo, yeah. So Gendo is like, 99% of the time always looking stern, always look like he's plotting something. And I think the few times they actually show him changing personality a little bit, like when they first meet him, and they have the episode where
he's just outside playing catch with Ray or something like that. He's got the biggest smile on his face. Shinji's just like, what? That's what I always wanted to do. But then when Dad threw the ball and it hit me in the face,
he laughed,
shook his head, and just went back to his newspaper.
And then he got back up and threw the ball again. Like he realized he got joy of just watching me get hit in the face with the ball. Well, no, but like aside from like him like smiling at Ray once in a while, there's that flashback where he comes across as kind of like slimy and kind of like an opportunist. Like he's meeting Fuyutsuki and he's kind of getting through Fuyutsuki through like his wife Yui, and he's always kind of like has a kind of like a little cocky kind of smirk. And then like, all right, what are you planning, motherfucker? And then one day when she dies, he's like, it's all business now. It's all business. I don't give a fuck. And there's like that one moment, and I think it's actually used well, when Ritsuko said, when he's going to Ritsuko saying, why'd you kill all the Rays? Why'd you in the dummy system? And they show him for a second, because they shows him for a second. He has like this worried, unsure look on his face, but she's not facing him. And he's just kind of like, fuck, I don't want to do this. But then he's like, why'd you do it? He has to put that face back on. You know what I mean? Did you notice that?
Yeah, like it kind of is there. It's like, what I mean? Like, yo, you don't fucking ruin my rays. You know what I mean? Those are rays for my retirement. You know what I mean? You know what it's like to have a kid that can die or blow up and you can just get another one? It's like the greatest thing ever.
It's like the Venture Brothers.
You literally never have to worry about your child ever again because you know that if something happens, you just go get another.
Yeah. And if things ever go really bad, I can pull out more than one at a time. Make them start like a Josie and the Pussycat style band. Go travel on the road. Maybe they'll solve mysteries on the side. I don't fucking know. Shit. I don't know what the future holds. But that's an option.
We'll be like the Jackson 5. Can Shinji come? No, Shinji cannot come. This is a family matter.
Maybe Shinji could be like the bumbling fuck-up roadie who goes on with their adventures with them.
Yeah, every once in a while, I guess you need some type of like comic relief if he's even funny. But
so would he be like the Scooby-Doo? No,
no, I'm Scooby-Doo. If anybody's Scooby-Doo, I gotta be Scooby-Doo. Like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
He's the gray. He could be the gray one that popped in once in a while in Scooby-Doo and the 13th Ghost.
Yeah, there you go. That works too. But I was gonna say something to
Derpy Doo, whatever the fucking. I was like, I'm fucking like you thought Scooby Doo was fucking stupid. Jesus Christ, get ready for his inbred cousin.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But
no, but going over to leading back into the end of the series where it goes all mind shit.
I know what I want to say real quick actually because it still relates to that. Why? Okay, if Ray is the good like child, why is she living like the most like dank ghetto apartment? I just always wanted to know that.
Because she won't refuse it. They don't like shit. This is why I like her. She don't ask for shit.
Maybe that's what it is. Cause like it must be like she's like you could stay at Dad's mansion. You know what I mean? Believe me.
I guarantee you, he has probably a similar setup. He doesn't give a shit. He's just back to work for him. Maybe there's a cot underneath that like
the desk. He's just like yeah. He's like George Costanza, just goes to sleep underneath his desk.
Saves rent,
He's those guys like, dude, you're making over 7 figures. Whoa, you gotta learn where to cut those like pennies. So you got every penny saved is a penny earned. Keep that in mind.
I know we're 20 days from the world ending, but still, it's not a bad idea to invest.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Here's some stock options for you.
But so here's the thing where I guess there's what was the name of the guy who posted in the YouTube? I didn't check the YouTube page.
Antabaka, I want to say was the name.
Antabaka. Well, first off, thank you for posting that. I haven't checked the thing, and this is more of like me kind of because you read one thing and you kind of read theories and you hear about theories, and this is going more off of memory, nothing I looked up recently. But essentially, once instrumentality project happens and everyone kind of gets fused into one soul or one being, from there, I don't know what it is. It's one of these two things. Either from there, timelines branch off and become kind of like this sort of quasi endgame thing where it's like, oh, you do something different, we go here, we go there, and since instrumentality project happens, like, okay, here's a new Genesis point where we can go any direction. Or it's one of those things where life just, once it goes through this cycle, we go through another cycle, and some things happen similar, some things happen different. Because, like I said, our last episode, there's that manga series, which when I was really into Evangelion, I was reading, but I realized this is kind of the same thing, they just change a few things here and there. But after right where I started reading, that's where it goes different. And the end of the series is they win. The end of the world doesn't happen. And what ends up happening in that is, you know how at the end of Evangelion, how all the robots, the mass-produced Evas, the white ones, all get deformed, all the Cronenberg Ray shit, and they're in the cross shape?
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of those fall from the sky. Like, those are relics from a forgotten age.
Huh, that's interesting. So maybe there is like these time things. Well, there's even that part like in episode 26 in the last one where like Shinji's kind of having this mental breakdown or whatever. And then it does like a Wayne's World moment where like, cause it's like after all this like dark downer crap and stuff like that, it just reminds you like, you want to do the Sailor Moon ending? Yeah, let's do the Sailor Moon ending. Doodly-doo. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo, doodly-doo. And then it just like cuts to like Shinji wakes up out of bed like it was a fucking bad nightmare or something like that. And Asuka's there. She's like, Shinji, get up, you lazy son of a bitch. I'm your childhood best friend. Really? Well, I'm gonna go back to sleep. No, you get the fuck up. We're going to school. And then like he goes out and
you got a fucking boner, gross.
Yeah, you fucking jerk. Oh, you try to stick that in my ear.
That part when they...
well, then it's like...
I'm sorry. It's easier when you're asleep.
It just happens that way. But then it's like, it goes to like the part where, like, it's like, of course, like, his parents are there and his mom's alive and Shinji's dad's there reading the newspaper. Just like, nose stuck at the sports page, just like, fucking... like, it's almost like his father's like better because he's at home, but maybe not still the same, still good enough.
Well, apparently there's another manga spin-off series that focuses on that reality of like, hey, and it's more focused on comedy. It doesn't have a whole lot of drama or anything. It's more of a, hey, here's the Evangelion crew going into funny situations, but here's just this world that we saw a glimpse of at the end of the last episode.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool, because I was literally looking at all the manga books on Comix Central, or Comixology, and I was like, well, okay, there's way more books than I thought, because at first I was like, I'm going to read these books too, and then I was like, oh, well, never mind, there's like 28 books. It's like, ain't no fucking time for that.
It's end of just the regular one is just Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and then there's
like 11 of those ones, I think.
Yeah, there's 11 of those, and then there's a bunch. Then there's a couple other series which I never read or got into, but yeah, there's one just about, it's like a high school comedy, and I think they still pilot the Avas from time to time, but it's more focused on just like, it's just funny situations with these guys, and at some point Gendo jumps up and punches an angel and destroys it or something, so it has no problem getting obscure and getting weird. And then,
well, I was gonna say, because like I kind of like the Sailor Moon ending that they had, because it would mean like literally when it reminded me when it went full Sailor Moon is when you see Rei running down the street with a piece of toast in her mouth, like just like the first episode of Sailor Moon, you know what I mean? And then she like bumps into Shinji or whatnot, and they kind of make it off like, oh, you saw my panties, boo! He's like, boo! You know, like classic like anime thing. And then at school, you know, they make it out like everything's sort of connected. Like Masato's like their teacher or whatnot. She's like the cool, hip, hot teacher, and all everybody's there. But I was almost like, that world was almost so fun that I wanted to see sort of more of it. So knowing that there's a comic, I almost kind of want to check that out.
Yeah, there's that one. But I guess we should. It's so weird though, because you see that,
and then it goes away.
Then you watch End of Evangelion, the movie. And that is like, it opens up with, because first off, so they made the movie Death and Rebirth, which we said before, it's kind of a collage of Evangelion with a couple of deleted scenes. Not a lot to go off of, really, just a couple of deleted scenes. And then to help get people ready for the next one, to get all amped for a reason to go see it, like, okay, we know you guys been waiting for this movie, so we're going to take the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie and put it after this. Like, oh, okay, you know, so that people would do that. And then when the movie came out, like, okay, even though you saw the first 10, 15 minutes in there already, still in there, opens up with Shinji just like, you know, like, I don't know what to do. And then, like, for the first time he sees Asuka naked, and she's all comatose still, not waking up, and it's just like, the original manga, because for some reason ADV had the show rights, but Manga Entertainment had the movie rights. So that part, and they used a lot of the same voice cast. And that part right there, though, Shinji's line originally was, "I'm so fucked up." Where for some reason they made it in the Netflix one, "I'm the lowest of the low." Like, no, you can save that with less words. "I'm fucked up."
Well, it's weird because it's like, I guess it's that, because it's a weird thing because, like, I love how it says, like, TV 14 on the show. And
it's covered in jizz, like, 2 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Just with, like, floppy tits, so they're like a 14-year-old, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how we're starting this movie. That's like that movie where, like, you know what, you're like, oh, dude, there's a movie coming out of Evangelion, and you're like 10 years old or like 12 years old or something like that. You're like, dude, it's got sci-fi stuff, and I think my dad's gonna really dig it. You know what I mean? He got into Cowboy Bebop. I think I could show him this one next, and that's how that movie fucking starts off.
Well, just imagine just jumping into that, not knowing anything about it, or even just going off the collage movie and then watching this one next. Because Death and Rebirth, the collage one, it still doesn't really have the same oomph. It just feels like, all right, let's just catch you up so you can see this thing over here if you don't feel like watching the whole series. It just comes across as just so, I don't know. I'm not complaining, because it's one of those things, like, because it was this weird thing with Hideki, because a lot of this just, you could trace back to Hideki Anno, what he's going through. He was really depressed while partly making through it, and they finished it. And then they got all these death threats, and all these just, you know, and they've actually vandalized the Gainax Studios, saying, "You fuckers, you guys made this shit? What the fuck kind of ending is this?" All these people demanding, "We'll kill you. We'll fucking kill you. What is this horse shit?" And then, so he's like, at first he was a little depressed, but he kind of got a little guess second win. Like, you know what? No, I'm not done. I'm going to come back to this. I'm coming back to this. And he made a little bit of this, I'm going to give them everything they want, and I'm also going to scream, "Fuck you," at the same time.
Because that's sort of how it is. Because, like, the first part of the movie is, like, it reminds me of, like, what I really liked in, like, those first half of, like, I guess the episode, maybe a little bit farther than that, where it's just, like, I mean, other than the fucking, like, not the first, what was the stuff I liked about? Well, I liked it with, like, a 14-year-old kid jerked off on, like, a comatose lady. Well, not that part, but
I learned something new about myself today.
But once Asuka, like, I just love how, like, how do you get Asuka back? Well, you know what we're gonna do? Gonna take her out of, like, life support, just throw her in the Ava and just see what fucking happens.
Now, I don't really remember. Oh, go ahead.
I just like how it's like that. And then she, like, somehow, like, she wakes up at some point, and then she's just like, "Fuck it!" And then that part's, like, so badass, because Asuka just goes, like, insane, and the animation's just, like, super fluid and whatnot, and she's, like, destroying and, like, brutally murdering all those, like, white, like, whatever, angel creature things.
Avas. This is the other Avas.
Oh, yeah, the other, like, the UN Avas. I like how, like, the UN's really, like, the bad guys at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's more Sele, and I think they have a little bit of like UN backing, but I think it was more Sele, because by then Sele's like, look,
oh, I guess that's true.
They used the Lance of Longinus, the Jesus spear. They threw it into space. We fucking need that thing if we're gonna create the end of the world. And that motherfucker threw it into space. He told his kid to fucking do it. Which one? I don't know. The blue one. And then eventually it's like, all right, this guy, he's gonna fuck this thing up. We can't trust the Sakari fuck. We gotta go in there and run this shit ourselves. So they go and run in this whole military operation, take down Nerve. So for a minute, it's like Metal Gear Solid, a little bit of Die Hard, like all these soldiers coming in, just blowing away, just brutally mowing down all these poor office techs. Like, we just had 2 days of gun training.
There's literally that part too where there's like a lady like dragging a guy's body away, like, we're gonna make it out of here, and just these soldiers run the hall, go like, there's one, bop bop bop. Fucking just murdering people left and right with like no defense. You know what I mean? And they even find Shinji, like, there's the boy. You know what I mean? Okay, Billy, we're gonna shoot. My name's not Billy. Shut the fuck up, Billy. This ain't gonna hurt. He's like, has a gun up to his head, just like, just gonna be over quickly. And then Masato comes running in, fucking like, this is like a Metal Gear Solid scene. She like shoots one, kicks another one, punches one in the face and whatnot, and then slams that guy up on the wall, puts the gun under his chin, be like, it's not gonna hurt that much, and blows his brains out right there. It's like so fucking badass.
The manga part's better because the guy, when he says it in the I mean, the manga dub also has some weird ones here and there, but that part's better in the manga one because, first of all, I like the voice actress from Masato a little more. Not that this lady's bad, I just like the first chick more. But she jumps in, she kicks him because, like, sorry, kid, nothing personal. He said it more of like, it's not a big deal, like, yeah, whatever. And then she jumps in, does that thing, and she does it, like, gritting through her teeth, like, no offense taken. Bam! And then blood just everywhere. And I think that's a little better. But even though it is a little kind of like quippy, but still, at the same time, I feel like a lot of the people in the ADV and manga dub, they would actually do something like if you cannot see their mouth or their face, they were doing a little bit of something to kind of like get more across. Like maybe they'd pause a little more, or it'd sound like they're kind of chewing on their lip while they're saying something if they were angry, you know.
Mm-hmm. Because I say, I mean, this dub, like, all in all, I mean, granted, I didn't see the other one, so it's like, I can't really complain, but I could see how, like, yeah, it is that sort of thing. It's like if we went and watched Cowboy Bebop, and they're like, we're doing a brand new dub. I could see how that would be kind of like, oh, it's a touchy subject right there.
Well, Cowboy, they already were really smart the way they did that one, but yeah, it's just this weird thing of, yeah, if you watch the Rebuild movies later again, a lot of the original ADV and manga casts are in that. Like, there's a few people different, but majority of those people are still in it. But anyway, I'm wondering which cast they're going to go with when the fourth movie finally comes out. So, they're going after everybody. Rei is just being naked somewhere, and Gendo's like, well, we're already fucked. I'm going to go start the end of the world. Because here's the thing that's kind of a little confusing about Seilei's plan. So, and maybe someone can correct me, because once again, it's been a while since I looked into this shit. So they basically want to cause the end of the world. Now, the end of the world will already happen if an angel comes in contact with Lilith at the bottom of Nerve HQ in the Geofront. Mm-hmm. But they're like, no, fuck you. We're not gonna let God make our choice. We're gonna stop all the angels, and then kill ourselves just to prove we're worthy. Just like, fuck you guys, you know, because they're like this Illuminati group. It's like whenever I tell people that they're watching the show, like, all right, so what's the deal with the guys in the holograms? It's like, well, here's what they do. Like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I know. So whenever I show it to somebody, they always say, I don't get why don't they just let the angels fucking do it? They're fucking stupid. Because the whole time, Gendo seems like he's trying to steer him away, because he says like there's no life through death or whatever. Like death will be bestowed upon you or whatever. There's Emperor Palpatine for a minute. That whole time, he's like, okay, look, we were to stop the angels. I don't know if I want to go through an instrumentality project. I'm going to play along like I am. But then once he realized it's fucked, he's like, fuck it, let's do it. But you know what? I got Adam inside my hand right now. I'm going to fuse with Lilith, and that way I'll become a god, and I can kind of shape this shit the way I want. But Ray's like, no, fuck you. You can't tell me what to do, Dad. Like, oh, shit, you picked a bad time to go through your rebellious phase.
I mean... Shit, I know you're at the age. I just thought like you were the good one. You weren't Shinji. Shinji.
Shitji. Shitji, I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Like
then like he does a thing where
you fucked up again.
He puts his hand to her tit, merges through, goes down through her stomach, and then from there she's like, fuck you, I'm taking your hand. And like cuts his hand off and absorbs it, and her arm grows back because she lost it earlier just because
this fell off. It was just like blah blah.
The clone's just falling apart or whatever, and then that's when she merges with Lilith, and then Lilith takes the form of like this giant pale white ray, and from there. But when Asuka's thrown into the bottom of the lake in her Eva, and I don't remember if in this dub, if you hear her mother talking to her, because there's a while where it just holds on Asuka, holding her head, saying, I don't want to die. And there's a voice there talking to her like, "You're not gonna die. I have you. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." Something like that. Do you remember hearing that in this version?
Well, I don't remember hearing another voice. I just remember she kind of goes, "My mother, she's my shield," or whatever what they call them.
It's like the AT fields. It's
the AT
before
fields,
they.
As I don't remember somebody talking to her. I just remember like she just kind of like comes to this like acknowledgement, like she's always been there to protect me. That's why well, someone chimes in like, no, that actually is just the technology working for you. That's not your mother.
No, because what happened is her mother, like Shinji's mom, was an earlier test pilot. So when her mom went into the Ava to test it out,
they infused with her or whatever.
Yeah, so her mom came out, and it basically took her soul, but it wasn't. It was somebody who was like brain damaged. It wasn't like Yui, but it was a different effect. So she came out and she thought this doll was Asuka. I'm like, I'm gonna hang the doll, then hang myself. Fuck that girl who just walked in the room. I'm not making you a sandwich. Fuck you. And then from there. In the original manga dub, there's a voice you can hear very lowly, quietly saying, like, "It's okay, you're not gonna die, I love you," all this motherly stuff. And then the mom, she's like, "Oh, you were with me the whole time." That's where she's realizing, and she's got this second wind, like, "Fuck yeah!" So kind of got that validation that she was looking for, right before she eats it hard.
Yeah, well, she goes off and she literally, like, in a sense, kills all these creatures, like, and she's got, like, a 5-minute time period, because, like, her charging cable gets cut from her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's just, that scene just pure amazing badass.
That's, like, the best scene in any of the whole show, just that it gives you everything you want in any kaiju or anime-style battle.
Yeah, well, I think the thing, too, is because I kind of thought that, like, oh, shit, she's going to go through this, like, Shinji's going to bitch out, like, because he's just bitching out this whole time. He's just sitting there, like, head between like his legs, like, yeah. I mean, so much so that Misato's like literally like dragging him, like, get in the fucking car, Shinji. Take you to fucking work. That coal mine ain't gonna run itself.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? It's just like pure force, and then like even still, like Misato has to pretty much die for Shinji finally to stop bitching up, but then he's still bitching up. He's like sitting there just like in front of his Ava, like, yeah, and she's out there like, because you think it's like, okay, Asuka's out there. Like, is he gonna come join in? No, he's not. Not till she's practically dead.
Well, that's the thing, because he's like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna fucking get to it. Like, I don't know. And the mom, because Misato gets shot, and her writing, the writing they gave, I mean, the writing in general, I guess, for that scene where she is saying like, I'll never forgive you if you don't go through with this, and she's grabbing his face. And then she's like, just like the animation they use in parts of the movie, because like it looks a little bit more unsettling. Like when you see his face and he's how like that terrified and she's holding his face, or there's the moments where he's freaking out, losing it when the instrumentality project happens. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things where even though it looks familiar, just for whatever reason, just the little details they put into it just makes it look that much more kind of disturbing, you know?
Yeah, no, that is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Just plus, like, the one that makes that movie, it's just got the classic moviness where, like, just the animation's just, there's just a little bit more to everything in it, too. It's just that top notch. It's kind of like the Cowboy Bebop movie, too, where it's just like, here, you get the show you already like, but now just add even more, like, detailed animation in there and so on. But whatever, like, Shinji's bitching out, so I kept expecting him to, like, have some sweet battle, but you never get, like, he never really gets in his mech to really do anything but get out of there and then just go to the weird, like, 2001 A Space Odyssey part of it.
Where all the different, because what happens is all the units, all the mass-produced Eva units, all recombine, and that's where I feel like the song that sounds kind of like an Alan Silvestri song kind of kicks in, sort of right when she's finishing those things off, and they all come back to life, and they finish her off.
They're like, eat her.
they fuck up Unit 2. Like it's one of those things because like usually it's one of those things where they just feel what the robot's going through. But since she gets speared with the Lance of Longinus, shit's actually happening. So she actually literally loses her eye. Because did you see when she's looking down and she's screaming and she can't control the things? Like, do you see like blood pouring out of her eye?
Yeah, which I thought was kind of like, I couldn't figure out if that was like an illusion type thing or what, but because it never really...
When she's reaching up and you see her arm split for a second, you don't see like her organs being ripped out or anything, but...
Yeah, because I didn't know if that like that she sort of like, it was like that thing where like she feels it. It's not technically happening, but it feels like it's happening sort of thing. Because, there's so many of those things in this show that it kind of makes you start questioning everything.
And then when Shinji gets up there, essentially we just got 2001 Space Odyssey type shit, and a little bit more of the mind trip stuff for a while. And there's that part where, because at some point it's just jumping from different scenes. And here's a question I'm wondering right here, because it's when instrumentality is happening and people are starting to fuse. They have these moments that look like moments out of the show, but just animated differently, where things go different. Like Shinji and Asuka are wearing clothes they wore in certain scenes in certain episodes, but the scene is going different. And there's a part where, and this goes back to what I say, like, God, for whatever reason, it's just unsettling. There's a part when Asuka is like leaning and looking over Shinji, and her face is so fucking hate-filled and so like detailed, and she's saying, "I hate everything about you," and then like, you know, it looks like she's bare-shouldered. And then it shows Shinji, and it looks like they're laying on a bed, and he looks shirtless with her hair hanging over him. And he's just like, "Because I'm just like you." So it's one of these things, like, I think it's intentionally meant to bring up a question. Like, at some point, did they fuck? And did these scenes happen? Or is this just some what-if thing? Or is this them interacting together since, oh, everyone's fusing as one right now, and this is for a chance for them to reenact with one another and speak to each other?
Yeah, that is a good question there. Like, it almost has like that Spice Girls song comes on. It's like, when two become one.
Well, then it's all like, if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's basically a song about suicide. It's so happy and upbeat, you know, has kind of like a little bit of a Beatles kind of style piano going to it.
Yeah. But, yeah, it does have that weird stuff. Because I think it's like one of those ones, I feel like in the show, it's supposed to be that thing that like Asuka and Shinji are sort of like these weird lovers, but maybe like behind closed doors kind of thing. Like, it's definitely not gonna be in public, but like that one of those, like that thing that where she comes in at 3 a.m. and kicks down the fucking door and just rapes Shinji real quick and then leaves, and then
he's not gonna tell anybody.
Yeah, because she knows it.
He has to talk to people first to tell somebody. He's not fucking doing that.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of relationship it kind of reminds me. It's like, it's one of those ones.
That's what makes me wonder, because there's the part where he's, like, literally at his lowest of his lows, and he's talking to her, and it's like, "Please, I need some, and then I'm alone. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just scared. Everything scares me, this and that." And then it's that very well-animated scene where she gets up, and she's like, "Fuck you! You don't know what the fuck you want!" She pushes him, and then he falls into the coffee, and he starts slamming the fucking chairs, and has a full-on mental breakdown and starts strangling her. So that's like one of those things like, whoa, did some serious shit go down off-screen, and this is one of those reasons why they always had such a weird, testy relationship? Or is this just a what-if scenario, or are they enacting this right now, just in this world they're kind of making up in this instrumentality world thing?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all those mystery kind of questions. So, and maybe that's why Shinji almost has more of an attraction to like Rei. It's like, well, Rei doesn't come in at 3 a.m. and try to rape me,
or beat the fuck out of me.
Yeah, and then beat the fuck out of me, and then leave me there, and then I have to try to explain to like my friends the next day I go to school what happened.
Why I have a black eye?
Yeah, I just,
I fell down the stairs. I fell down the stairs a lot, apparently.
Fell down the stairs, face first to the door handle. You know how it happens.
Same eye.
Or he's like, you know what? There was that little gay boy that came down, and then you guys told me he was an angel, and I had to kill him. But you know what? I kind of liked that kid, He liked me. He didn't try to peer pressure me into anything, except for that bath.
Yeah.
But, I had to take a bath too, so I felt like it was just adequate timing.
Yeah, it was just 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, If that was Asuka in there, God knows what would have happened. She would have tried to drown me and then resuscitate me real quick. And then drown me one more time. And then resuscitate me, just because that's what she was into.
You ever seen I Saw the Devil? I think it would have been something kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you walk in after you're getting your fucking diploma at 8 years old to see your mother hanging on the refrigerator door.
Just like knocks the fuck out of you. You wake up later with a wad of cash stuck to your chest, says, "Go to a doctor."
I think I went a little hard last night.
You go back up, she's there waiting for you, beats the fuck out of you again, wake up, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Until it's time to go fight an angel.
You think Masada would take care of us, but no, she's hammered, passed out in the next room for Penguin.
Sometimes it's Kaji, but not always. It's more often not the Penguin.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a a sexual relationship with the penguin. It's just that's her drinking buddy.
I'm sure there's a body pillow for it somewhere, or the fan art's out there. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you could buy one. Poor penguin.
I remember going to Suncoast and actually seeing like stuffed pins.
Really? Well, I could have seen that back in the day for sure. Back with those time periods, you had that nice anime section in the corner.
Yeah, I was right next to like probably some Sailor Moon shit, more than likely, or like some like Gundam model that was really small for like $30.
Yeah, exactly. That looked like it was very fragile.
Because I had some kanji on the box.
But yeah, as I said, this show kind of just has like that ending thing where you get the weird like the Ray almost reminds me of, like the baby in like 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you expanded on that, that makes any sense.
Now, for a minute, part of this is fact, part of this is me theorizing. And for a minute during that whole mind trip thing, they show just what looks like a bunch of text in Japanese, and we don't know what the fuck it says. But apparently, they flashed a bunch of hate mail for a minute right there. And when they're talking about people's truths and what it is we need and what it is, all that kind of, to have and to want or create a world for yourself. And as they're saying all that, they're showing people in a movie theater. So that's where it becomes a little bit like turning the camera the other way around. And they show people waving. So I'm just wondering this. Just a thought. I didn't see anything looking up for it. They show that audience, just a live action audience, just talking when they're talking about creating other worlds and whatnot. I'm wondering if they said, all right, we're going to have a couple screenings of Evangelion Death and Rebirth. If you come to one of them, you might be in the next movie, maybe. And then, a couple months later, like, okay, we're just going to drag and drop this part into the scene right here. Like, I'm wondering if that's what that was, possibly.
And that could have been, because, yeah, those people look like they're like, oh, shit, there's a camera there. They had that kind of look on their face.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm on TV!
Turning on, like, saying, like, I'm just wondering if that's what it was. Because I was like, just go through here, see if anybody reacts to it, or... They're probably a lot more tamer and more docile than an American crowd. Like, fuck yeah! I'm in the new movie!
Yeah, exactly.
You get the one guy the one girl kind of waving, one guy's like, what's up? And just people just looking, just being very calm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because that's always like the weirdest. I don't know what it is. It's like whenever you're watching something like animated, or same with like a video game too, and then all of a sudden it cuts to like real footage. It's like, because that's how I was thinking Metal Gear Solid, because it just goes to real footage at one point. You're like, the fuck?
Originally, there was a whole. All right, first off, I'm not sure if you noticed it. I didn't notice it till I listened to the audio commentary on End of Evangelion on the manga dub, where it was the English dub, and some of the cast members talking about certain things. Apparently, when they're going through the different crowds, it zooms in, and you basically see the back of Masato, Rei, and Asuka. It's just their backs, and it's not the three girls just looking straight into the camera. It's like it zooms in on their back, and you kind of see like they're like on their way to a cosplay convention. They're kind of standing there in this crowd, like, oh, they kind of stood out there for a minute. I never noticed that till they pointed it out because the color was kind of off. But thing that was going to be in there originally. There was originally going to be a live-action segment where everything goes to live action, and Shinji creates this world where he's not there, but he can still see what everyone else is doing. And he's following some of the different characters, live-action versions of them, and seeing what they do. And they actually used some of that footage for the trailer, but it's weird. It just shows like Japanese people living everyday life and whatnot, with just a bunch of talking over it. And then it just says, End of Evangelion. So it's like, what kind of weird, goofy, art school shit is this? You could find the trailer out online, but yeah.
Huh, interesting. I'll have to look that up. But that would be kind of, I would say that'd be a really ballsy choice. Though. It's just all of a sudden you're watching this anime, and then like, an hour and 15 minutes into it gets to a point where it's like, oh shit, did they just go full live action for a moment? Like, does this say like it was pure live action, like, Evangelion suits and everything like that? Like, I mean, more than just like a scene of just a couple people, like, a bunch of Japanese people walking on the street.
It was it was in a world with no angels and no Eva, so it was very slice of life for a minute before Shinji snaps back out of it and goes into anime world.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, just imagine if it went like full on Evangelion, like somebody threw some bucks down to have the full on like robot biosuits fucking flying around, punching each other, and Exactly what we showed up for. I want to see more robots punching each other, shooting guns, and shanking each other. Shanking those angels.
So what essentially ends up coming to, we'll get to that in a second. So eventually what ends up coming down to is Shinji saying, you know what, fuck it all. Everything sucks. Everything's useless.
I hate my dad. He literally is like the emo, like when you hear like the definitive like emotes, like kid hates himself, doesn't want to be here, thinks everything's been done, hates his dad. That's Shinji.
Yeah, it is. And then like Ray,
he's always listening to his tape deck or whatever, just being like, leave me alone, the Cure's on.
Proto iPod, yeah, listening to the Cure, maybe some Smiths.
Yeah.
Why did my father abandon me? I'm like, oh shit.
Everything's been done before. Haven't you seen Gundam Wing?
Yeah. No, but it's one of those things where when everyone starts turning into that LCL shit, and they all see, I think it's kind of sad a little bit, because before, like, Ray appears, and then appears as someone they love right before they turn to LCL and get transported to, you know, in heaven or instrumentality, whatever. And Maya, she sees Ritsuko. And maybe it wasn't super obvious, but you can kind of see, okay, I can see her kind of having a thing for Ritsuko. You have Fuyutsuki kind of seeing Yui. I'm like, okay, I kind of knew he had a thing for her, kind of, so that makes sense. And then it shows Huba seeing Masato, and he was always kind of Masato's intel guy, so that makes sense. Then it cuts to the one guy who's kind of the rocker guy with the guitar. No one there for him. Just a bunch of rays corn like, guess what? You're gonna fucking die! As he screams.
I know, I thought that was just like, oh, well, there goes that guy.
There's that, and that whole scene, like, is trippy, because you see all these characters just, like, exploding in LCL and going up into heaven or whatever. And then Shinji realized the last moment, like, you know what? This is the next step. Something else, it's merged into one life, but it can kind of go any direction from here. I don't know. I'm just gonna go. I'm pulling out. I'm going back to Earth. I gotta be alone with myself for a while. And then it's him and Asuka, and Asuka's still alive, and has that whole moment where he's on top of her, strangling her again, but then she touches his face, and because I think he's mad at her because he thinks she's dead or something. She's like, "Why'd you leave me alone?" You know, and then
yeah, one of those moments.
And then she touches his face and just holds on him, crying over her. And then she says, this is always one of those things like, how disgusting, or I feel sick. It's something like, you want to know how like they got the line out of the Japanese actress from saying that?
How?
So, they had something going. I don't remember what they had originally written down, but he wasn't getting the performance he wanted out of her. So he said some really weird, gross creeper shit.
You went Stanley Kubrick?
No, like, he was pulling a Stanley Kubrick move, definitely.
That's what I mean, yeah.
He's like, he's walking up to her. She's in the recording booth. He's like walking up to her. He's like recording. He's like, all right, for this scene, I want you to imagine something. You're in your room. You're sleeping. Somebody who knows you, but you don't know him, comes in. You're laying there naked. He can do anything to you. He can jerk off. He can fuck you. He can do anything he wants to you right now. What do you think about that? And she just said something akin to, that is disgusting, or I feel sick, or something to that effect. And then he's like, that's fucking what I need. You recording that shit? Awesome. Nice work. It's one of those kind of things. Like, he totally caught her off guard, saying this gross, fucking creepy ass shit. And it's like, I just want to talk to you for a second. Oh, fuck, that is perfect. Thank you. No, that's going in the show.
Well, those are just those directing, like, you know, little talents you can kind of use. It's just like Stanley Kubrick pretty much bullying, what's her name, in The Shining.
She's fucking crazy. That made her crazy. Did you know that?
Yeah. Like, that just put her over the edge. It's like, you know what I mean? Well, I guess because, like, if that's happened to you, like, day in, day out, and you don't really know why it's happening to you, because I think that was the thing, is she didn't, like, he never explained to her why he was doing it. She just, I was like, oh, what is this guy's problem? You know,
and
why
then,
is he
like, you see he's being...
asshole?
You see, like, there's, like, footage you see of, like, Jack Nicholson being cool. Like, hey, guys, yeah, it's me, Jack. Yeah, I fucked that one actress. What a big deal, whatever. Oh, you brought the coke? Right on, man. Yeah, cool, right on. You're like, let the camera guy come, too. PA guy, you too. Where are you going? Come on, man. And then you see her just like like Kubrick just peeking around the corner, like just waiting for her to fuck up.
Yeah, oh, I love those special
Like some real it's Wabbit season type shit.
It's just head poking around the corner. Well, then even towards like the end on Evangelion, there when they're like, there's that part too. There's also that part too where like there's just like Rey like floating over the water, like don't worry about her over there. Just be like, you know, me and Shinji were naked on top of each other a second ago. Just wanted to let you know that. And then flies away. Just.
Well, that's another example. When Shinji turns and sees that, and, you know, first off, the world, it's like the ocean is totally red because giant kaiju Rey falls apart and just lands in the ocean. So the ocean's all bloody now. And then you got all these, everything's just dead, basically. And Shinji's just laying there, and Asuka's alive still. And the whole thing with, just for a second, when he turns and sees Rey with his face, that's one other example. Like, it's very simplistic things they did differently, but just something about him looks so creepy because he's so shocked and just so worn out of it by that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like one of those ones which, well, that's also those weird ones which is like, oh, okay, what are these scenes? That's like the kind where it's like, this is the one where like, when you're 12 years old watching this, that's not the scene you want somebody to walk in on you.
Well, it's one of those things, like, when I first saw this, I was fucking blown away, and I didn't get it all, but at the same time, I was just like, this is so deep, it's beyond me. And now I'm like, I like End of Evangelion. The last 2 episodes, I think you could probably sum that up in 15 minutes. I don't think you need an hour of that.
Yeah, those could be summed up way faster, I feel. And it's one of those ones, like, I'll say this, the show should just be 24 episodes, not 26.
Mm-hmm. 24 in the movie,
Yeah.
And then, but here's actually a thing I'll say to you, though. So, next after this is the Rebuild movies. A little thing in the Rebuild movies is the ocean is already red. So that's one of those things, like, is this... Because they say in this movie, like, you know what? People can still... They can find a way to come back. As long as someone's alive, everything can restart again. So, that's one of those things watching the Rebuild movies... Is that another cycle, or is that just a little kind of like branch off, like what if kind of history thing? Because the sea is already red when that movie opens up.
Interesting. Well, because, you know, by this point it makes kind of sense because, you know, as the end of like just the TV show part of Evangelion goes, is you see that there's all these different like realities, and now we don't know, does Shinji create these realities, or is it just like, what is that all kind of? Is it a
branch off from instrumentality right there? Because I always took it as everyone was dead when I first saw the series, not the movie, the series. I took it as something happened, the end of the world happened, we didn't see what happened, and out of that, that was basically their test to get into heaven or whatever. That was like their judgment day. That's what I took that as. Now it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't so on the nose, maybe it's more of like, instrumentality happened, now they're stuck with nothing but their thoughts, because they're just these beings that are just conscious now. That's all they are. So, but from there, they can go on into different branches of reality. That's the question is like different branches of reality, or is it this cycle where things just kind of go and happen differently each time? So, the Rebuild series, the first movie, because I know you saw it a while ago, and we won't go into all the details. I'm just going to present something, because I'm not sure. Maybe you're Evangelion'd out, and I'm not going to say, now let's do all the Rebuild movies. Maybe we can go to those later when the 4th movie comes out.
I didn't really get burnt out on, like, the Evangelion, actually. Like, I almost feel like I'm still... I mean, those last couple episodes definitely did sort of, like, just for how long they went on, like, you know, for certain parts, like, those last, 4 or 5 episodes, that could have probably be summed up a little bit quicker than that, but, like, the movie sort of, like, reinvigorated me with it. I'm like, okay, I'm down for more. I kind of want to see, especially now that you mentioned, like, the comic book, how there's some other different variations, too. That almost kind of interests me in itself, too.
Well, here, let me bring this up with you real quick. I'm not going to try and spoil too much, but... So the first movie, I'm not spoiling much because it's basically the same thing with some things differently. First off, Ocean's red. Like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then some things are introduced a little sooner, like Quaru pops in a Marvel-style kind of stinger thing. They present some information a little sooner, and they change some of the scenery and some of the settings, and it's really well animated. It's basically from episode 1 to the part where they destroy the one angel that's kind of like... a big floating pyramid or diamond, and they have to sniper it. So that's the first, and they changed some of the things for it. So that's the first movie. Second movie, it follows the show still like half and half. Like half the stuff is really recognizable, half the stuff is brand new. And then you get to the third one, and third one is mostly new with some, it's like probably 75% new with some like some recognizable stuff hanging in there. Now here's the thing to question. We don't see how everyone reacts to Shinji after instrumentality, because instrumentality happens. So the question is, for the third one, because I don't know, I feel like I'm spoiling if I go for
Yeah, I just say like I'm.
I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it. But just think of this: how would people react, given some of the things that happen? Because for a while they're like nerves going along with it. Like, okay, instrumentality project, whatever. Like, wait, what is it? So once people find out what it is, imagine like, oh, what characters would do what, and what characters stay friends, what characters become enemies.
Interesting. Yeah, because I actually now I kind of want to go out and buy those movies. I don't think they're on streaming for anything, but. Hopefully you can pick those up for not too expensive, but...
I have the first two. The third one I don't own, but I saw it like Crunchyroll. I just got the free membership for like a little bit. Like, okay, it ran out.
Yeah, well, that's always... Crunchyroll's always that one, like, I'd have it for like a month or two and then be like, it's amazing service. I'm not guaranteed. It's only cost like $5.99. It's like, that's like one of those ones, like, if you paid for that for like an entire year in the background and you only watched a couple of shows, you would almost like never even notice it. It's so cheap. But if they have them on there, I might... get that, and because I would not mind going through that series or those ones too. You know what I mean? While Evangelion's all fresh in the mind and so on like that.
I'll say this: those ones are a lot more consistent with the action.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like too. Because that's about the only thing is, as I said, those like the last like when you get to like the 20s episodes, it's like I felt like. It's like, okay, where's my robot action? I want somebody got to get punched, shot, stabbed, kicked. I don't care what. I want to see it. I want to see one of those robots go primal too. I like that part.
Luckily, we see it. I like there's the part when the robot, whenever it decides to eat its own, like fuck yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like that stuff to me is like so cool and so on like that.
I want to say this before we go. There's that one ADHD or whatever it is. There's that late night Fox program that would do those Robot Chicken style like animated shorts, and they have a lot of them that were on like YouTube for a little while, and they can kind of range from anything from being kind of like, oh, that one was kind of touchy feely, to this one's just kind of like really random. They had an Evangelion one, which is really surprising.
Yeah.
They have an Evangelion,
especially for back then too, when the Evangelion was kind of like in that dip phase where like it was kind of hidden.
This is probably like 2010, 2011. Evangelion, well, that's also right when the Rebuild movies were coming out too. But
oh, maybe that was the tie-in then.
Yeah. Well, no, it's different art style and all that. You could tell they're doing that thing where they slightly change it. They change the art style just so they not get away with copyright bullshit. But they do this parody because the thing is, there's a rumor. I don't actually see him saying this, but apparently there's a rumor that Michael Bay was interested in making the Evangelion movie, which I don't see. He's like, what the fuck is that? But I think that's a rumor someone made up because I have no idea of him seeing that type shit. So it's like, what if Michael Bay made Evangelion? So, and it does this thing where I'm going to send you the link and people just look this thing up. It's fucking hilarious. There's a part, I'll just say this, because every so often, whenever like the Ava Unit 1 decides to eat something, they do a parody on that. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to eat this motherfucker. It just shows them just chowing down. I'm like, oh, it tastes like shit, but I'm going to finish it because that's what a man does.
I almost want to say you showed me that. That almost sounds very familiar.
And then it's just like at the end, it's like, Shinji, you could save this world or create a new one. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, make me a new world. Then he's like a pile of like women, like, oh yeah, that's the shit I'm talking about.
No more shit G anymore. Well, I guess as we're kind of on our way out, I wanted to say this. It was funny. There was this kid the other day. Like, there was this magician guy that we set up some audio for and whatnot. And
it's already funny.
This kid was like, yo, magician. You got a YouTube? He's like, oh, yeah, it's this, that. He's like, huh. You only got 120 followers? Fucking sucks. And it's just like, it's like this 8-year-old kid. He's like, and then he looks at me. He's like, "Yo, you with the microphone. What's your YouTube?" And I was like, oh, "Old Man Orange." And he looks. He's like, "Neon Genesis Evangelion," because that was our last episode. He's like, "That looks fucking stupid." It's like, well, what? He's like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's an anime from the '90s. Stupid. It's lame." "What else you got on here, huh? Drunk Batman, 2009. Shit, I wasn't even born yet." It's like, god damn.
God, I hope you die.
Why is this kid so harshly judging us?
That's an age where kids like, "I'm gonna talk shit. Why? You're not my dad. You can't fucking hit me."
Yeah, well, it's like, I felt the magician guy was the one who was just like, it just felt like this kid was here just like, "I'm here to hassle you." You know what I mean? I'm gonna hear and like sit in the back row and just, go, "Lame. Sucks."
The kid say that's fucking sucks. The kid literally say that.
Well, he said like when he's like, "Dude, you got like no subscribers," when he talked to like that magician guy.
How many subscribers you got, you little bitch?
Yeah, that's all I thought too. It's like that magician guy's like, he's like, "Well, that's, I mean, like he probably, like everybody, he probably started a YouTube channel at one point and just to have.
He just mainly uses it just to watch things by this point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, because he was a real super awesome guy, real nice guy, and he actually did have a bunch of cool tricks and everything like that. So it's like one of those ones where he had his own gig down, you know what I mean? He didn't need anything extra. But you know how it is. I think it's like when you kind of have any business, at some point you feel like, oh, well, maybe I'll have to get like a Facebook page, and maybe I'll have to get a YouTube page, and so on and so on. And so that's probably what it was. But there's this kid just like, "I judge people by their subscriber count."
Well, that's that age when kids are just really, there's like when they're really young, where they're just kind of like, "Oh, he's still kind of cute and kind of fun." Then there's that age where they're getting like a little older and they're kind of shitty, and that's kind of 8, 9. And there's that point when they're like probably like 12 to like 14 and 15. They just want to fuck everything, and their voices breaking. They've got acne, or they're these weird little like fucking troll things. And I'm probably just scared off, or just like, "Fuck this guy," dislike to anybody in that age range. But it's one of those things. I'll say this.
I just thought it was funny because it's sort of related to Evangelion, because that was the first thing he looked at. He's like, "What's this?" Like, "Oh, Neon Genesis Evangelion. It was an anime from the '90s. Sounds stupid."
Of course it sounds stupid, because it's not fucking Fortnite. I'll say this. This is going to be like, I'm going to fully acknowledge that this is not like, it's going to sound like total old man talk, and I fully acknowledge that. But when I was a kid, I remember feeling kind of like, man, people don't take me seriously. I got shit to say. And, other kids feeling the same. Like, yeah, man, I got shit to say too. And feeling that way through your teens as well. And then one day, you turn 30. And like, dude, just shut the fuck up. It's one of those things. It's like, I can think of like, me being in my, like, I'm not even teens anymore. This is me being like in my 20s, like, or people like in my 20s, like, man, I got this great idea for this show or for this movie I want to make, and I would just go back like, "No, it's shit. Rewrite it. Trust me, this is dog shit. Don't show this to your friends. They're gonna talk a lot of shit. You rewrite this. This is some fucking horse shit." And then like, and now I'm just thinking like, now I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like every kid or every teenager you meet, but every so often you'll just come across something about like, just you hear something that like social media stuff from kids. You're like, "Oh my god, why?"
I know, it's just there's just that judgment.
It's just an age thing. It's not really even like they're bad people or they're dumb. It's just an age thing. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
I think it's the good thing about, there's something to be said about being humbled in life. I feel like you got to get to that point where you're humbled. Now, granted, he's a 10-year-old boy, so it's like that humbled place is gonna be a long ways away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I'll say that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like, I mean, because once I feel like you get humbled, you kind of like, everything seems kind of like, you know what? As long as everybody's having a good time and nobody's getting hurt, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why complain?
Yeah. Well, another thing is, what was I gonna say? It was linked to that to some extent. Another thing I was gonna say about that was, fuck, what was it? I thought I had something here. God damn it. But you're talking about being humbled and
10-year-olds and hating life, and
I think it's one of those things where shit. I don't fuck.
It's late. It's at that point now.
It's late. It's a 2-hour show by this point, but yeah. No, I think it's one of those
2 hour
things where
shows. That means we talked for like 3.5 hours on Evangelion when you really think about it. Because when you combine it with the other episode, we went Evangelion to the max.
Just Evangelion marathon right there. Now, there was something I was going to say about this that I thought was going to link in well with the theme of Evangelion too. I think ultimately it's just one of those things. Like, it's not even like one of those things like, oh, you're a kid, you're dumb. I just think there's just naturally this thing about aging where you get older, even if you're not that old, you get a little older, you're just like, I don't want to fucking hear it. And then, like, I already got my own shit to worry about. And I just think there's just some natural thing that makes you kind of, like, ageist to some extent, you know? I don't even think it's like a good or bad person thing. Like, all kids are fucking stupid. No, they're just going through the shit the kids do go through, you know? And so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, yeah, whatever. Okay. I don't know. I'm just thinking all the dumb shit I said when I was a kid. So.
Well, yeah, I think that's always how like every kid is. You know, you always said that where you feel like you just have this child power or whatnot. And I think it's just funny because I always love too because like whenever like it's a 10-year-old kid and be like, yeah, they're like the impress me age. You know what I mean? Especially with like the podcast. What the fuck's a podcast? Like, oh, you know, it's like a talk radio show. It's like I almost feel like there's like unless you're just that one weird kid who likes to listen to fucking talk radio at that age, for the most part, like that's like that's gonna be like a year gap. You know what I mean? You're gonna come to that at some point in your life. All of a sudden, you're gonna get to a point where you're like, you know what sounds good is two people talking. You know, that sounds like it's something for me. Because I just remember, like, I think it's just what it is. You get to a certain age, and then all of a sudden, you're like, you know, I like music, but I think it's time to hear some people talk. And I think just as like a 10-year-old kid, you're like, people talking? That sounds fucking stupid. Like, you don't got like animation or something to go along with that? No. But you old people sitting around talking, listening to their fucking turncast radios. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't make any sense.
On your fucking AM radio?
Yeah. On your
you
BF
fancy FM.
Yeah, on your BF radio. Like, what's a BF radio? I don't know. It's fucking old people listen to it. That's all I know. I'm a kid. Fuck you.
I'm gonna die one day.
You're gonna die.
You sooner than me.
Yeah, you're so old. You and that magician guy over there.
Well, I'll say this. There's that thing about when it's not your kid and he just wants to talk shit or whatever. There is that thing when it's a kid you do kind of know and you could just talk shit to him back and just put him in his fucking place. Because that's one of those things that I'm not like always talk down to your child, always belittle him, because that creates a shinji. So I don't do that. But when a kid starts acting up and starts saying some stupid shit, I think it's fair game. Just like, no, dude, shut the fuck up. This is how it goes. And I'll you know, like one of my nephews, I love him, but he's like, by this point, he's like 12 or 13. And I don't remember what it was, but he was talking something, it was like something like the Child's Play movies coming out. And I said something like, I was never really big on Chucky, but the fact that it's all technology based and not voodoo stuff, it's just not nearly as scary to me. It doesn't jump out to me as much. And then he said, he's like, well, of course, he puts his hands on his hips. Of course it's gonna be like technology because we're in 2019. Everything's connected. Duh. I'm like, oh, look at you repeating something you heard a friend say. Duh, it's connected. It's 2019. Yeah, well, guess what? It's always been around. Voodoo, way fucking scarier. Had nothing to say. And that's not me saying, like, I sure told that 12-year-old what fucking time it is.
He was giving me sass and giving me lip, and I put him in his place.
It's not even me, like, boasting about, like, oh, look what I fucking did. But, like, he shut the fuck up about it. He's like, all right, yeah, think about that next time, motherfucker. Be prepared. Like that Scar song from Lion King. Be prepared, shit. I'm gonna speak on your terms. Oh, that's too old too? Fuck. Oh, don't worry. There's a remake coming out. It's probably in there.
It's all coming full circle. But well, I don't know. That's just always where I feel like I'm getting on a tangent now for like kids. But I always just feel like,
well, Evangelion's about these fucking kids. Just drive the robot.
Yeah, it's just, well, that's sort of what the show sort of is. It's a bunch of adults going like, you know, we can't pilot these robots, so we have to get a bunch of fucking emotional wrecked children to fly it. Well, except for, you know, Ray. Shit, if we could just make a bunch of Rays. Wait a second. There's an idea there.
Yeah, there's an idea. Why don't they?
Why don't we have Ray fly everything? Is there something to be said that you can't have like more than one Ray out at a time?
Maybe it is. Maybe they just fall apart or some bullshit like that, or maybe the soul hops from one ray to another. I don't know.
They're
That's
like,
a good
whoa,
point.
we're only buying one fucking apartment in downtown.
Yeah.
Shit, you know how much all this stuff costs? You know what I mean? Like, that's why Shinji's fucking staying at an employee's house.
Well, this is all freshly built shit too, you know? I mean, this isn't old Tokyo. This is the third Tokyo.
Yeah,
right?
you know what I mean? We're keeping the dream alive here. So you know what? That's why we can't have more rays.
You see, she's in one of the skyscrapers that goes underground. So she gets a good view of the ocean, then go underground, good view of everything else, that giant spherical thing.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I look forward to more Neon Genesis Evangelion. You know that show,
The robot show, the Jesus robot show.
the Jesus Robot Show. You know, but I kind of was trying to find out like what other video games were out there because the N64 one, like, it looks pretty neat and decent and so on, but it's kind of like it's that classic anime video game where it's a little bit clunky. It's that one that, like, and that's how so many of those anime games are. They're like, you definitely could not be into it if you weren't into the show. You have to be, like, sold on that first and foremost. There's an RPG or something for, like, PS2 that actually looks really kind of neat. I want to see if somebody made, like, a translation of it or something like that. But
there's one or two that are, like, kind of visual novels.
Those are the ones, like, on Sega
acting.
Saturn and so on, I think.
And PlayStation, I think. Yeah, they'll have a still, and then they have audio just playing over it. And you got an option. Like, you play as Shinji, and it's just kind of like, do this, do that. And, you know, there's different options like that. And apparently, that's one of the what-if type universe ones, I'm told.
Yeah. Well, because even, like, the cool thing, too, is there even is a Sega Saturn in the show, too, because Asuka's playing that.
Well, they have a Sega. Sega helped, I think, at least threw down some bucks for this, because the Sega emblem appears on End of Evangelion, but when they have all the opening titles.
Huh. Somebody that knows that part, but I didn't notice the other Sega one. But yeah, it's a bunch of cool stuff. I kind of would like to see more. I'm looking forward to whether it be the mangas or going out and getting those other Neon Genesis movies at some point. But yeah, fun stuff. We'll put links in there for the description if you want to get more Evangelion fun things, you know, off Amazon, help support the show, all that good stuff. But till then, you can always go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics like Pizza Boys with a Z, you know, animations, and all our other neat articles and what have you on there. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comix Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comix Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.